Alright, and Roxas, I'd say, is still the same. Like, there's no reason for him to move. He's still solid S tier. Same with Barrack. Same with Grok, honestly. I don't think it changed, honestly. He got a tiny bit worse. They nerfed his right click a little bit, but honestly, he's still probably S tier. But maybe he'd be A plus tier, but for now, I'd say still keep him S tier. There might be a chance that he goes down to A plus tier, but for now, at least he's S tier. Bomb King, I think, is maybe gone up a little bit. I want to say he went up a little bit to A plus tier. I think he's slightly above the other DPSs. Honestly, he's definitely one of the better DPS options right now. So I'd say he's a solid A plus tier right now. Nothing really changed on him. I'm seeing him picked a bit more, and he seems a bit better than he was. And then in exchange, I think Buck goes down to A tier. Buck honestly might be down at B tier right now, but honestly speaking, he's still a fine option. It's just he doesn't do what he was doing last patch. You have to play him differently than you were last patch. Cassie, I think, is still A tier, still a solid DPS. You can pick her pretty freely into most matchups. I wouldn't be first picking her or anything, but she's a solid A tier, balanced character, I would say. Drogos, I think, is still A plus tier. He's slightly better than the rest of the average DPSs. So I think he can stay in A plus tier. Eevee, honestly, I'd say Eevee maybe up to B plus tier. I think she's still fairly weak, but I think maybe I don't want to say I underestimated her. I think she's still bad compared to the other DPSs, but I think she's still better than Fernando and Skye right now. Fernando, I think, still B tier. He's just not particularly viable. There's no reason to pick him right now compared to the other tanks. We saw Torvald get some nerfs, so maybe Fernando might be slightly more picked instead of a Torvald, but I think honestly the Torvald nerfs weren't enough. Grok, again, still S tier. Grover, I think, still B plus tier. You can pick him into certain comps. You can pick him against certain team compositions and with certain team compositions, but that's about it. He doesn't really serve the role of a general pick. He's much more of a pocket pick than anything. But when you pocket pick him, he can still be okay, unlike, say, a Skye or Fernando. So I think he's still a solid B plus tier. Canessa, again, I still feel like she's A tier. She's pretty well balanced. You can't pick her into most comps, but when you do pick her, she's very effective. I wouldn't pick her up blindly or anything. She's more of a last pick option, but again, when you do pick her, she usually is a pretty solid pick. Maeve, I'm sorry Maeve, but I think Maeve is B tier now. I think she's practically useless. Like, the fact that they took away the default heal on your Q is just, it's gonna ruin her. And then they also nerfed a bunch of other stuff, like every single ability got nerfed in one way or another, so I wouldn't pick Maeve at all right now. Makoa, I still think, is S plus tier. He's still kind of automatic first pick. I see no reason not to pick him. Oh my god, hang on. Let me just mute this, because Lazy's retarded. Pip. Wait, we did Makoa. Pip, I think, still A tier. He has option to pick him, but I wouldn't pick him blindly into any comp. Definitely more of a last pick option. Still goes pretty well against tank meta, but resilience just hurts him too much to be more viable. If resilience wasn't in the game or as easily pickable, then I think he'd be a better option, but as of right now at least, I'd still say he's solid A tier. Pickable, but wouldn't blind pick him, and wouldn't want him to just, wouldn't want him as a solo carry or anything, so. Ruckus, I still think, is A tier. I think he's a solid pickup, but he's going to be pretty much your last pick tank. Like, outside of Fernando, he's the worst. He's like worse than Makoa, Barrack, and Torvald. He's he fills the same role as a Cassie or Kinessa. Like he's more of a last pick option. You're never going to be picking him before Makoa, Barrack, or Torvald, in my opinion. So, but he still does very well. When you do pick him, he still does very well. So I say solid A tier. He's pretty neutral. Shaolin also still A plus tier probably. He's still like the best Haven DPS right now, outside of I guess Grok, but even Grok suffers a lot, whereas Shaolin has the better range. The only issue is that he can't be pocketed as Ying by Ying as effectively, which might be an issue, but for now at least he's still solid A plus. Like you can pick him into any comp. If you're looking to pick up a DPS early, it's going to be Shaolin in most cases, so he's pretty good. Skye, honestly, I'd put Skye C tier. I think maybe I was being a bit too nice to Skye. I think Skye is just miserable right now. Like there's just no reason at all to pick her, like against any comp. The only thing that would potentially make her B tier is the fact that you can't really see her in stealth, but I think that's just a bug. It's the same thing with Shaolin. You can't see their stealth right now, unless you're really close. Apparently they have the range of the stealth detection, but I'm not sure if that's a bug or not. If it's not a bug, then maybe she'd be B tier, but honestly, I'd just don't pick her. There's no reason to. Snake, I think Snake probably stays the same. Like Snake and Ying before were pretty comparable. Ying was just slightly better. Ying was more all around, whereas Snake was more like he's still a really good healer, just not as effective as Ying. But since Ying got nerfed, I think it's more Ying going down rather than Snake going up. Even though you can pick either or now, like you don't have to prioritize your Ying pick at all. They're literally just the same right now. The only difference is between them is the maps. Snake is going to be better on some maps, and Ying is going to be better in some. Torvald stays the same. I think he got a slight nerf to the shield, but honestly, it shouldn't. Like that's not why Torvald was so good. He wasn't good because he had a 6k shield versus a 5k shield. It doesn't affect him in the competitive scene at all, really. So I wouldn't say he moves anywhere. He's still a solid A plus. Tyra, I think Tyra honestly has option to go up to A. Like Tyra is a decent pick. I'm not sure if she's as good as Victor. I think the deal between Tyra and Victor is that Tyra she's better at what she does, but Victor is more of a safe pick. Like you can pick Victor into a lot of different comps, whereas Tyra you need kind of a specific comp both for your team and to be playing against. So I think Tyra, you can't pick her as often, but when you do pick her, I think she will serve her purpose better than a Victor does. But overall, I think she's pretty neutral. She's definitely a decent last pick option. And I think she compares to the other DPSs there. The only option would be like I don't think she quite serves the same purpose as Cassie. I think Cassie's a better general pick, and she can also fulfill her role pretty well. But as I said, I think last time is that I'd put Cassie between A plus and A. But for now, they're on the same. I'd say they're on the same solid A neutral pick. Victor stays the same. He's still neutral. He's still a decent option for DPS carry. Wouldn't first pick him or anything, but if you're looking to fill a role, then he's going to be the best pick. Just like all the other A champs, they're all there kind of to fill a role. Ying is one of the few that's actually going to drop down. I'd say she goes on par with Snake, going to A plus. Like she's just not as good. The only thing that makes her better now is that she can actually pick the left click card and do a lot of damage, but even with that card, I'd say she's pretty much comparable to Snake. Again, it just comes down to map if you want Snake or Ying. What comps you have, what comp they have, and then what map you're on is why you're choosing Snake or Ying. Snake has a more effective tank busting ult, whereas Ying is more of a general healer. She should have more healing by the end of the game, but Snake has more disruption and general damage as well. So yeah, that's about it. Let's move Eevee here. So yeah, this is your tier list for, at least in my opinion, for competitive play. Not meaning ranked. I mean for competitive 5v5 team play, not for ranked play. For ranked play, there might be some few differences, but honestly, it's pretty damn similar. I'd say maybe Ying is slightly better than Snake if we're talking ranked and casuals. Kanessa would be a bit worse. Buck might be a bit better, but overall, it's still pretty similar. So yeah, that's it. That's the OB45 tier list, in my opinion, at least.